Today on the No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast, episode number 17. We're just about to talk about personal financing, investing in yourself with my guest, Dawn Smith from the personalgrowthchannel.com. Next on the No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast.
Welcome to the No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast, a podcast about a journey of discovery and conversations about not sitting on the sideline of life. Let's get involved. Here's host Joe Foley.
Hey, welcome to No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast. My name is Joe Foley. I'm a dad, parent, and a crazy busy adult just like you. I know you're busy. So am I. And thank you for taking time to listen. I really appreciate it. It's your first time? Welcome. This is the podcast about having a conversation. I know I like finding other different topics like personal finance, budgeting, talking to different people from different walks of life, jobs, experts. Like today, I get a chance to talk to Dawn Smith from the personalgrowthchannel.com. And we're talking about personal financing, budgeting, also investing in yourself. Like, that's how important. Take time to invest in yourself. Because, if you don't, you just stop growing, and then what's the purpose? I really believe into investing in yourself in growing. So let's jump right into the interview. Today on the podcast, my guest, Dawn Smith. He's the founder of the Personal Growth Channel and the father of 5 children. Welcome, Dawn. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
I have a curious question. I guess I'm reading your bio a little bit, and it was about being the Toastmaster Director of the Year. What does that entail? I was just curious. I've always been fascinated about the Toastmasters.
Well, I'm glad you asked. Actually, Toastmasters is something that is near and dear to my heart. What Toastmasters is a group of people that have got together to develop their communication and leadership skills. So what that usually involves is each week, or some of them meet just a few times a month, a group of people to get together, and we believe that we can better our communication, our speaking skills by doing some practice. And so we'll practice speaking, and the other part of that is getting feedback. So we'll get feedback from the rest of the room as far as things that we could do to improve ourselves.
That's interesting. What is a Toastmaster like? What does it entail? Like, does somebody you give them a subject and they get up and speak for 5 minutes on a topic, or?
Yeah, there's a couple different things that they do there. One is prepared speeches, and that's usually like 5 to 7 minute speeches. And those are things that you prepare. There's workbooks that they have for those. The first is just a 10-step series to get you into the communication manual. And each one of those things builds on each other. And then the other part, so you've got your prepared speeches, and usually there's a couple speakers each time. And the other one is impromptu speaking, and that is table topics. And usually I'll go around the room, and each person's given a question, and then given 1 to 2 minutes to respond to that question.
Oh, something to improve people's public speaking, I guess.
Yep.
It's something very interesting to me myself, actually. I guess another thing too I've been interesting is being a father of 5. I mean, I have one child myself, and I'm going through a divorce myself, and being a single dad, I'm like, wow, I got my hands full with a 3-year-old. But I imagine being a dad of, I know you're married, but being a dad of 5. I mean, how is that? How do you deal day-to-day routine and stuff? I was just curious.
Well, I feel for you for what you're going through right now. I've actually been divorced in the past myself, and was a single dad for a while, so that certainly is a struggle sometimes. As far as a dad of 5, one of the things I was thinking about is we took a trip a little while back, and we did a lot of really fun things. Went and swam in the ocean, and went and saw some alligators and things like that. And so, it was really just a fun week with the family. And I was coming back, and I asked one of my daughters, what was the best part of this week? And her comment to me, just really hit me hard was, I just really enjoyed spending time with you, Dad. And, that's probably the hardest thing with having 5 kids is just being able to spend time individually one-on-one with each one.
What do you usually do? Like one day you take one's child, the next day, and how does it usually work? I mean, you try to make one day special just for them?
Well, I would like to say that I do that all the time. Unfortunately, it's usually, more like maybe once a week that I'm able to spend alone time with each individual child. But it's just trying to find those little moments, even if it's just driving them to practice or something like that, to ask about their day a little bit. That's the type of things that you can do there.
I mean, it's just a few minutes. I mean, I know my son, he just appreciates me reading those books before he goes to bed. And he usually tells me and tries to negotiate to get out of bed. So,
of course.
I mean, 3.5. I think he's the best negotiator in the world.
Yeah, I've always thought that my children ought to go into business as lawyers. So.
I think the something that really interests me, and you sent me a link for, is the 10 steps to generating wealth, like personal finance. I just kind of elaborate a little more on that. I was something very interesting.
Sure. You want me to go through those steps?
Yeah, let's go through them. That sounds like a great idea.
Okay. Well, this is actually an article that I put together. As you might imagine, I've struggled quite a bit as a dad, especially with multiples and being a single dad myself for a while. And I really spent a lot of time researching the subject of wealth generation. And I've kind of distilled everything that I've learned to myself. I've added significantly to my wealth over the last several years and put them down into just 10 general steps that you can do. And I think the very first thing is to just kind of get it through your head that, this can be done. There's a lot of very wealthy people in the world. There's a study that just came out last year that said that there's probably around 35 million people in the world with a net worth of more than $1 million. And what I've found is really the only difference between them and the average person is really just the habits that they've created. A lot of these people, they started out with loads of debt just like the rest of us did. A lot of them have gone bankrupt at some point. Aside from a few lucky lottery winners, I mean, most of these people are first-generation wealthy. They're not people that inherited all their wealth or anything else. And if you really study it, it's pretty interesting because a lot of the, a huge percentage of the lottery winners and people that inherit wealth, I mean, they're broke again within about 3 to 5 years, and that's just because they didn't have the right habits. So that's a very first step in there.
Well, I had a quick question about that is, because, you said, like, get it, get in your mindset that you can get it done. But also, have you ever issue with, like, negative thoughts coming into your head about, like, you have a positive plan written out and everything else, all of a sudden you get this positive thinking, and all of a sudden the negativity creeped in. How'd you deal with that? I was just curious.
Well, sure. I think that's common to everybody. I mean, I had a huge setback at the beginning of last year. We had our basement flood, and I mean, even after insurance, we were set back almost $20,000. And so those things do come up, and I think all you can do is just reset yourself and say, hey, I'm going to go back on the plan, and we'll get it done again.
Oh, that's a positive thinking, and then it's a good way to think about that. And what would be the next step? I was just curious.
Second one is to pay yourself first, and that's a tough one, and it took me a long time to get to that point. But what most people recommend is just taking at least 10% off the top and just sticking it in a savings account. And that money doesn't exist as far as the rest of your bills go or anything like that. And if you don't do that, I don't think you're ever really going to get wealthy. The next one there, the third one.
10% off the top. So automatically take it off your whatever you take home for pay or whatever your income is, and saving. That's how do you go, man? I'm not really sure I'd say that. How would somebody go about doing that? It just automatically do it, or just have it automatically taken out? What was your process in the beginning?
Well, to be honest, I didn't have a process in the beginning, and that's where I struggled for, probably the first, 10 years of my adult life, as I didn't have that process. Since then, I've got into the habit of trying to really designate things that the savings are going for. It's kind of like dreaming. What do I want to use this for eventually? And that allows me to stick that into the budget. And I try to shoot for around 10% each month that's going to go to nothing but putting away for a future time. And that's just a matter of looking at your income and, taking it times 0.1 and putting that in your budget as savings.
Well, you said something about dreaming, or not dreaming, but like thinking of things you could do, and then it helps you put the money away.
Yeah, I think it is very helpful to think about what you want the money to go to. And I'll get to that here in one of these later steps as far as when you're talking about creating the plan. It's just dreaming about what you want to do in the future. And that's one thing that is very helpful when you're talking about finances, is to try to figure out why. Why are you saving?
What would be the next step?
Next one is giving some away, and I know that's subject to a little bit of debate, and it sounds counterintuitive, but most people recommend taking another 10% and actually giving that away, maybe to a local church, charity of your choice. And that's one thing that I think a lot of wealthy people, they don't ask, can I do this? They ask, how can I do this? And I think that just helps you get in the mindset. It gets you in the mindset of being disciplined with your money. And it also gets you into the mindset of having plenty. In other words, you've got enough to give away. Again, going back to that first step, I think the mindset of believing you can do this is one of the most critical pieces here.
I can see that, but like you said, the first step of being the mindset, because me myself, I can see I had a plan, and all of a sudden that negativity again creeping in, and it derails you. But I can see that what you mean by the first step.
Yeah. And it is hard to stay positive on these things, as you've experienced, as I've experienced. There are things that come up that are unexpected that will derail you for a little while, and the only thing you can do is just try to get back on the plan. The next one here is creating a plan. And that's, unless you've been living under a rock for the last lifetime, you've probably heard of a budget. And that's where I actually differ with that just a little bit. I like to call that a spending plan. And the reason I like to call it a plan is because I'm trying to plan out, where do I want my money to go? So that I'm not asking at the end of the month, where did my money go? I'm starting the month at the beginning saying, where do I want it to go? And that's where you're just writing down what your income is, writing down what all your expenses are. You're looking at your dreams in the future. Do you want to take trips? Do you want to, not be a burden on people later in life? So you want to have some retirement subjects. Any of those things that you want to take care of.
Then you mentioned about executing. Next would be executing a plan. Putting the plan into works.
Yep, and again, I think that's a spot where a lot of people really mess up. I've done this numerous times in the past, where I write down everything, and then I still get to the end of the month going, where'd everything go? And the reason is I wrote it all down, but I didn't run that past the wife. I didn't run it past, anybody that might be spending the money. And I didn't execute it. I didn't specifically set aside those things and say, okay, when I hit this, there is no more. I've gotten to the point now where I like to do a lot of things in cash now. Where I'm actually going in, and if there's discretionary things, I went tonight and, got some ice cream and stuff. Those types of things I'm paying for in cash, and I have a certain amount set aside for those types of things.
That seems different. That's a different thing. Most people pay with cards. Me, myself, I I'd like to pay it cash because I probably know better what's in my account. But I've gone to the point that I use debit cards. So I'm always using my debit card. I never seem to have cash, but cash seems like a better way of handling it.
Yeah, and I still do use a debit card for things like gas and things like that, where it's just easier to do that. But the nice thing about cash is you actually, feel it leave in your hands. That was something that when I went through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace course, he talks a lot about is using cash because you actually feel the money, and you can see it too. Where a debit card, you just keep swiping, and eventually you may run into a situation where they say decline, but you don't really see it going away.
It's almost like a lottery. You go up there going, is it going to go through? Yes, it did.
Exactly.
I think the next step in preparing for emergencies, I can give an example, like car repairs or home repairs. What was your experience?
Well, I think this is, again, the types of things you're talking about is just a basic emergency fund. Going back to Dave Ramsey, he says put together $1,000 and just set that aside. That's your rainy day fund for those types of everyday things that come up. And you know that those are going to come up. You've got tires that are going to have to be replaced. Those aren't really... They are emergencies, but you know that they're going to happen eventually. So you've got to put some away for that. And then, getting rid of your debt. If you had lost your job or something like that, that debt's going to kill you when you run into that. The other thing is insurance. I've been in situations in the past where for years, my monthly medical bills, not counting premiums, or over $1,000 a month, we were outlining for medical. So you've got to have medical insurance. Anything that can just completely ruin your finances. Losing a home, losing a car. If somebody injured somebody and they sued you or something like that, you've got to insure against those things. At the same time, you don't want to, insure your car or your house for $10 million. So you've got to pay attention to that too. But you do want to have insurance against those things because there are things that happen. I just had a friend that lost a house a little while back, and even with insurance, he's struggling really bad. So
what would be it's not fun when losing a home or something like that, struggling. What would be the next step? What's the next step?
Next step, I think, is just working hard. I think most of us have heard the mantra about working smart, not hard, and doing something you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And frankly, I'm in a cold, I'll just say, I've been blessed to know, a lot of people, actually quite a number of people that are millionaires or multimillionaires. I worked as a director at a bank for a little while, and had the opportunity to look at some people's finances. These people aren't really any different than you and I, but what they did is, they worked hard, especially in the beginning. And most of them, it wasn't unusual to find people that worked 60, 70, 80 hours a week, small business owners and that type of thing. And what we tend to see is we see the result of all that, which, towards the end of their careers, they've got people around them that are doing a lot of the things that they used to do. They're being able to take vacations and things of that nature. And I think it's human nature to say, well, they're not really working too hard. Well, yeah, but they did at one point. I think there is something to be said about working smart, though, too. An example I always like to use there is you wouldn't want to dig a lake with a spoon.
Exactly.
It'd take a long time. So there's better ways to do things, but working hard, I think you do have to do some of that.
It sounds like you need to lay a good foundation for future things you want to do.
Yeah, and that's really what the next step is talking about too here, which is finding mentors. And I think you're going to have a lot of trouble getting really wealthy on your own. And the way to do that is to find some mentors around you that'll help. I've been blessed to have a lot of mentors in my life. That's part of the reason why I started this personal growth channel. is to give back a little bit to the community. But the other thing that you can do is, if you can't find those direct connections at first, you can invest in books. I mean, there's books written about practically every subject that you'd want to know about. And that's something that I've done a lot myself, is just developed a reading habit. And those are just as good as in-person mentors a lot of times as well.
What kind of books would you recommend for mentoring? Anything on top of your mind, top of your head, that you can think of?
Well, it really depends on what you want help with. There's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's a good one if you're talking about finances. Dave Ramsey's got quite a number of books out there on personal finance. Actually, part of what I do here at the Personal Growth Channel is we have a book program where you can sign up and we'll send you a recommendation each month. There's actually an entire list there. There's relationships, finances, skills, leadership, business. There's all kinds of book recommendations out there, depending on what you're looking for.
I'll make sure I put the link in the show notes about the book recommendations for the Personal Growth Channel. The next step is enjoying life. Is it basically just enjoy life? I mean, what was your perspective on that?
Yep. Well, there's actually one other step in there, and that is investing. And that's that rich people buy things that make them richer. Most people buy things that make them poor. I mean, you'll go out and buy a brand new car, and now you've got all the insurance on that, and repairs and things like that. They buy an expensive house in a neighborhood you can't really afford in, and now you need to feel like you need to have that expensive car to keep up with the neighbors. And rich people look at it a little bit differently. What they invest in typically is things that make them richer. That could be the standard things like stocks and bonds, index mutual funds. They also do rental properties, businesses, and they also invest in themselves. One of the things that Warren Buffett said that I love is, generally speaking, investing in yourself is the best thing that you can do. Anything that improves your talents, no one can tax it or take it away from you. They can run up huge deficits and the dollar can become worth far less. You can have all kinds of things happen, but if you've got talent yourself and you maximized your talent, you've got a tremendous asset that can return tenfold. And one of the things that Warren was known for is he would read anywhere from 500 to 1,000 pages every day.
Oh, wow.
And that's part of where he was able to form his wealth from, is just investing in himself in that way. So I think that's one of the key steps there, is just investing and buying things that are going to make you more money. And one of the things, again, is your education, and you can do that either through formal education with colleges or through mentorship relationships at jobs, or even reading as well.
Well, it's fun, interesting is investing yourself. Like, I see all these courses online for any big name you can see with $3,000 to take this online course, and it's mentorships and stuff like that. Are you talking about some of that too also?
I think you can do that, but honestly, I think there's a lot of it that you can find for free. There's tons of books written out there, and all it takes is just a trip to the library to be able to make those types of investments in yourselves. Now, there are professionals out there, and I think a lot of wealthy people will take advantage of those professionals to get advice and plans, and surround themselves with good people as well that help them out. But a lot of it, I think, that you can just do by reading about it, and again, surrounding yourself with people that have those skill sets.
Have you ever listened to podcasts? I mean, podcasts are usually people giving good advice and training and stuff like that. I was curious if you ever listened to podcasts before.
No, sure. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and yours is a great one. Certainly, I appreciate you inviting me on this as well. I think that there's a lot of things that you can find there on podcasts. You can find out there on YouTube. TED Talks is a good one to find some good information on as well.
I don't think, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't remember the last time I actually turned the radio on. I think it was just for the football game. That was it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
Like, I guess a while back they changed my talk station to rap, and I've been listening to podcasts ever since.
Yeah, I hear you. I usually have a book on if I'm in the car.
I'm curious, what is the Personal Growth Channel? I'm just wondering, what is it all about?
The Personal Growth Channel is developed, I originally developed this just to share some of my views and things that I've learned over the last 40 years. But that's really grown over the last about year and a half. And the mission of the Personal Growth Channel is to help each other grow in our personal and professional lives. Now, that can be in the areas of relationships, finances, fitness, or any other areas that you might think you might need a little bit of help with. You know, there's an entire community of people. We were just talking about investing in ourselves and finding mentors and everything. Well, there's an entire community of people out there that believe in investing in themselves and others. And that's really what our community is. We've got about 7,000 members now.
Oh, wow.
And we've been rapidly growing over the last year. I mean, we've probably added another 2,000 here in just the last 2 months, so it's really taken off.
Oh, wow, 7,000 members. That's a lot of members. Congratulations.
Thanks.
What is, like you said, you mentioned you had the book recommendation. Is there anything else? There are Facebook groups or anything like that? Do you have where they can meet, like meetups or online or something like that, or anything?
Yep. The best way to find us is if you go to personalgrowthchannel.com. There is a Facebook community, there's a Reddit community, there's a Twitter. You can follow us there, and there's a hashtag growth_channel is our Twitter tag. And you can join us in any of those communities.
I guess we're wrapping it up. I guess, what was your final thoughts? What you can give anybody advice on investing themselves in personal finance?
Well, I think just going back through those steps again, you may want to rewind and listen to some of those things again. And then the last step in there is to enjoy life. I mean, we can get so caught up in trying to make money that we forget to live our lives. And that's something that I found myself doing at times, where I feel like I've got to do all these things to invest in my family, and then I have my daughter coming to me at the end of a trip going, the best thing I liked about this was just spending time with you.
That could probably melt your heart right there.
Yep, it did.
Well, I guess I could say where we find you. Just mention all your links and stuff like that about your Facebook group and Twitter and Reddit and like that. Do you have an email that if anyone will reach out to you, if you want them to reach out to you?
Sure. My email is dsmith@personalgrowthchannel.com. And then again, all our links are linked off our main homepage, personalgrowthchannel.com. And there's on Twitter is probably one of the better ones. It's at Growth Channel, at growth_channel.
All right, thank you, Don. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. I really do appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye. Well, that's all I have for this episode. I want to say thank you for taking time to listen to No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast. And also, I want to thank Don Smith for the great tips in the interview. You can find more about Don over at thepersonalgrowthchannel.com. Right there, you can find all his links, his contact information, and you can sign up for his newsletter, because there's a great community over there, over 7,000 people helping each other, investing in each other, and investing in themselves. Also, you can find all the show notes for this podcast at nosittingonthesideline.com. Hey, I have an idea. Why don't you comment? That'd be a great idea, because I really want to hear from you. That's the reason why I do this podcast, is I really want to connect with you. So please leave a comment. Constructive, please, because I want to know what I'm doing, and I want to hear from you, because I want to know you're out there. All the comments help improve the podcast, and I really do appreciate if you leave a comment. Also, you can find all my contact information at nosittingonthesideline.com/contact, where you can find my Twitter, my email, all my social media links. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to the podcast. Have fun, get involved with your children, take care of yourself, invest in yourself, because you know what? We only have one life to live, and time is short. Until next time, God bless. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please subscribe to the newsletter to receive updates of the show and helpful and useful tips. This has been a production of Foley 42 Media.